Canada, UK, and the Biden government are starting with their censorship. They could be taking down anti-establishment content, and they could be coming for us next, you guys. First, check out what they've been doing with the whole anti-vax content.
Another Facebook Files bombshell is out. Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, revealed on X that he's obtained internal Facebook documents suggesting the Biden administration, alongside foreign activists, attempted to silence Americans like you and me. Jordan took to X Tuesday, writing, quote, Facebook Files Part 5, Biden White House relied on foreign disinfo activists to pressure Facebook to censor Americans. Jordan pointed out how UK-based Center for Countering Digital Hate alleged that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and 11 other people, dubbed the Disinformation Dozen, were culpable for 65% of anti-vaccine content on social media. But Jordan alleges the number was closer to 0.05%.
Despite this wrong information and Facebook's internal admission that the accounts in question were fairly benign, then White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki still continued to cite the wrong figure. Here's a clip.
I think this was a question asked before. There's about 12 people who are producing 65% of anti-vaccine misinformation on social media platforms. All of them remain active on Facebook, despite some even being banned on other platforms, including Facebook, ones that Facebook owns. Third, it's important to take faster action against harmful posts. As you all know, information travels quite quickly on social media platforms. Sometimes it's not accurate, and Facebook needs to move more quickly to remove harmful, violative posts. Posts that will be within their policies for removal often remain up for days. That's too long. The information spreads too quickly.
Remember, guys, we can't have a democracy without freedom of speech. Government is not the dispenser of liberty. Liberty belongs to those ready, willing, and able to defend it. And we're doing our part here, keeping everybody informed. Make sure to share this information with your friends and your loved ones. In fact, you can even share this video with them. You never know, the government or this platform could very well take this down any day now. Just take a look at what's happening in Canada right now. Canada to create a registry of podcasters in a potential censorship initiative. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is steering Canada in what people are saying is a dangerous direction when it comes to regulating streaming services and social media platforms. So the next phase of regulations is just about to kick in, and it's raising eyebrows as some podcasters will soon be required to register with the Canadian Radio, Television, and Telecommunications Commission. So this new set of rules, known as the Online Streaming Act, or Bill C-11, will go live on November 28th. Really in just a few weeks from now, guys. It means that any online streaming service operating in Canada and making over $10 million in annual revenue must register with the CRTC. So the government's selling this as a modern broadcasting framework that can adapt to changing circumstances. Things like broad public participation and thorough record keeping being mentioned as well. Now, under this new law, podcasters will only need to register with the CRTC once and then provide basic information, probably like their name, their telephone number, addresses, people they're affiliated with, information that could probably make it easy for the government to track them down. But why is the government creating a database of prominent podcasters? That's what people really want to know. Because you see, guys, one possible explanation could be to enable quicker censorship of narratives not approved by the government. By maintaining a registry of podcasters and their content, it just makes it all that much more convenient for government authorities responsible for censorship to monitor and control the flow of information. You know what I mean? And it seems like we're not the only ones thinking this. So this reporter from the Toronto Sun commented on the CRTC now wanting to regulate podcasts, and their message? Go to you know where. So Elon Musk chimed in on this conversation, looking confused by the whole thing and wondering why they were regulating podcasts. So let's not forget about Canada's recent mistakes with misinformation. For example, Trudeau has used the term Nazi quite broadly, applying it to a lot of people, including a Jewish member of parliament named Melissa Landsman and the trucker protests of the Freedom Convoy. But what's really interesting is that he recently welcomed Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to Canada's parliament, even though Zelensky has connections to Waffen-SS, which is a Nazi organization. Let's not forget Canada's recent mistakes with misinformation, guys. So, for example, Trudeau's response to applauding the Nazi was something all right. He quickly chalked it up to Russian disinformation. It's almost funny how he can be so unapologetic about the whole thing, just brushing off any and all talk about his celebration of the Ukrainian veteran who fought on the wrong side of history as Russian disinformation. It seems like nowadays, anything that doesn't paint Western leaders in a positive light gets labeled as Russian disinformation. What do you guys think? Even though Trudeau eventually apologized for applauding the Nazi, His attempt to distort reality is yet another sign that the government routinely engages in mass censorship campaigns and further wants to regulate what podcasters have to say. And Biden and the White House isn't far behind. So let's not forget about how the Biden White House worked with Facebook to quietly censor Americans. The Biden White House really went to town on Facebook, pushing real hard for them to clamp down on any content that dared to question or even criticize the whole C-19 vaccine. And guess what, guys? Facebook actually went along with it. I mean, just imagine the White House leaning on a private company to silence Americans' voices. This is something that should get every American's blood boiling, no matter where you stand on the C-19 vaccine. Now, I'm telling you guys this because I know you appreciate the cold, hard truth. But I also have to tell you guys, we may get taken down for this. I mean, honestly, I'm already thinking of alternative platforms for our content, Maybe an emergency link for all of our 489,000 subscribers to go to in case our channel was to be taken down. Maybe a VPN, a URL, an email address to receive a newsletter. Any of those things are options. I think we should make it happen now. Massive censorship is on the way sooner than most of us think. Now, while I'm working on that, you guys can stay updated by subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. And if you want to help us out, get our message out to more people and engage with the channel. Leave a comment and hit the like button. That's for the YouTube algorithm. It lets it know that our information is good and more people should see it. By the way, if you want to be included on our special newsletter, drop me a quick comment down below and I'll make sure to leave a link for you guys so that you can be a part of that newsletter. Because seriously, guys, this Biden Facebook censorship rabbit hole is dark and it's deep. Did you think that what you saw on your Facebook feed was determined by your interest and your friends? Well, I wouldn't be so sure about that anymore. Some new documents have come to light thanks to Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio, who leads the House Judiciary Committee. And they reveal that the Biden White House has pretty consistently been getting on Facebook to remove content that raised questions or criticized the C-19 vaccine. And guess what? Facebook actually went along with it. So according to Jordan, these newly discovered notes from meetings, they continue to show the Biden White House desires to direct and control content on Facebook. Rob Flaherty, who was the director of digital strategy for the Biden White House, he even suggested changing the algorithm so that people were more likely to see New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and any authoritative news source over Daily Wire, Tomi Lahren, and other polarizing people. Sounds a bit like something out of the George Orwell's 1984, doesn't it? So Lahren had been vocal about not getting the C-19 vaccine, and the Daily Wire had sued to stop the Biden administration's vaccine mandate for larger workplaces. These were the voices that the White House definitely wanted to silence. Now, interestingly, Flaherty also mentioned the New York Post, the same outlet that had a controversial story about Hunter Biden's laptop suppressed before the election. It makes you wonder if the White House had a problem with the Post reporting news that President Biden didn't necessarily like. White House staff were pretty clear about why they wanted to suppress voices that were skeptical of the vaccine. They didn't trust Americans to make informed decisions about it. Courtney Rowe, who was in charge of Biden's administration's C-19 communications, even said that if someone in rural Arkansas saw something on Facebook, they considered it truth. Do you guys agree? People aren't that gullible, are they? Facebook tried to reassure the White House by not outright removing content that they didn't like, but they did quietly reduce its reach. They referred to it as borderline demotions and applied it to posts discussing negative side effects or questioning the vaccine mandate as government overreach. So to sum it up, guys, instead of allowing Americans to make their own informed decisions about a new medical treatment, the White House pressured a private company to limit what Americans could say. Honestly, guys, they may as well just kind of ripped up the Constitution on national TV. Same in the UK. My friends over there told me all about this online safety bill that's currently going through Parliament. They say that, in essence, it's an attack on freedom of speech, even a dystopian nightmare. 6 years in the making, the UK's online safety bill is now a done deal. The country's House of Lords just passed it, so it will receive royal assent and pass into law on the coming days. And everybody should be paying very close attention to what happens next. So here's a breakdown, starting with the more obviously positive aspects of the incoming Online Safety Act. Self-protection. Social media platforms have to give adult users tools to filter out harmful but not illegal content, such as racist posts or those that encourage self-harm. New sexual offenses. Sending a nude picture to someone to distress them and gain gratification. Cyber flashing will now be illegal, and something that would make someone a registered sex offender. Also, sharing an intimate image, real or even deepfake of someone without their consent is now going to be illegal. And that's about it as far as the clearly good goes. Now let's go ahead and head over into the murkier territory now. Porn publishers must keep kids out. It's important for porn publishers to ensure that kids can't access their content. Now that makes sense. Put the tools that they have to use for age verification and estimation come with their own issues related to privacy and bias. So now it's up to the communications regulator, Ofcom, to come up with a way to make it work more effectively. Social media platforms and harmful content. Now, when it comes to social media platforms, the goal is to protect kids from harmful content like posts that seem to glorify any kind of self-harm or show any kind of extreme violence. But once again, the challenge lies in age verification and estimation, as mentioned earlier. Still murkier. So let's talk about the online platforms and harmful content. So these platforms have to be real quick at removing illegal content or preventing it from being uploaded in the first place. But civil rights advocates have concerns about its approach. They argue that the definitions of illegal content can be a little bit unclear, putting platform operators in a tough spot when they have to constantly decide what's allowed and what's not allowed. Additionally, it's challenging to appeal against a preemptive upload block. They even raised the alarm that platforms like Facebook and X might end up blocking the upload of protest videos due to the strict public order laws in the UK. And now, the biggest concern of all, undermining end-to-end encryption. The bill has a spy clause in it that gives the government, through Ofcom, the authority to ask encrypted messaging platforms like Signal or WhatsApp to make it possible to scan messages for terrorist or child abuse content. Now, the government did backpedal a little bit, saying that they wouldn't enforce this until it's technically feasible to bypass end-to-end encryption without compromising user privacy. But the clause will still be a part of the act, so that's just hanging over our heads. And you already know that the US could be bringing the same thing over here. You know what I mean? Now, despite their assurances, the UK's stance on end-to-end encryption remains a concern, especially since the government's gaining the power to potentially jail company executives who refuse to comply. The president of Signal has even stated that they may have to leave the UK if they're forced to create a backdoor for encryption. Talk about people being jailed and escaping the country. Definitely something we need to keep a watch out on. Make sure you guys tune in again for the next one.